Posso, posso interrompere il caffè? Lo so che il caffè è buono, ma ho bisogno di portarvi... Ragazzi, Francesco... Lo so che è un piacere fare 4 chiacchiere al caffè, ma vi devo riportare all'ordine del giorno. È il mio compito. Accomodatevi, grazie. Francesco Schiavarelli, sei chi chiesto in prima fila. Lo sai che ti voglio sempre in prima fila, Franci? No, questa volta no, perché li vinci sempre tu. Non vale, non c'era mai un vincitore che... L'unico che avrebbe potuto fare concorrenza ero io, ma non valeva. Oh, abbiamo anche una presenza femminile, che bello. Laura, che piacere. Sei l'unica donna, come sempre, però ci fa piacere. Ogni tanto... Va bene, allora intanto voglio darvi il benvenuto. Credo che più o meno tutti mi conoscono, chi non mi conosce sono Luca Catalano, sono l'amministratore della CVE. Vedo qualche faccia nuova, mi fa piacere. Vi ringrazio di esserci. Sarò brevissimo e poi vado in inglese perché oggi farete un percorso interessante secondo me con i nostri amici di Harmonic e di Tag che vogliono presentarvi un po' le ultime novità che hanno presentato all'IBC. Fate tutte le domande del mondo, non preoccupatevi della lingua, si farà in inglese, se avete dubbi o problemi ci sono i miei colleghi qua in giro che vi possono aiutare. Fate tutte le domande, loro hanno bisogno di essere messi in difficoltà e chi li mette più in difficoltà mi fa un gran piacere, per cui sentitevi liberi di fare tutte le domande. I will revert now in English. Chris, you're up next. Mauro, you go on with all the questions that they would like to make. Ci rivediamo più tardi ci sarà un pranzo, poi Mauro governerà i tempi, ci rivediamo dopo. Buon lavoro. Giusto per dare un'indicazione, avremo una presentazione circa un'oretta e mezza, 2 con Harmonic e ci fermiamo una mezz'oretta per una pausa e poi ripartiamo con Tag verso le 14, 14:30. Ci fermeremo poi abbiamo un pranzo qua da noi. Quindi giusto per dare un'idea di quelli che sono i tempi. Okay. Parte Chris. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. So welcome. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. So my name is Christopher Bevan. I'm Regional Sales Manager for Italy, Greece, and Cyprus and Malta. So the good sunny country for during the winter. So it's nice. Jean-Luc Liu is our Senior Product Manager for media processing and playout. So he will. And Olivier Noël is also our Senior Product Manager too for SaaS and delivery. So both of them are, if you know a little bit our product, are VOS or XOS/VOS people. They work a lot with R&D and they're usually with your input, my input. They work on improving all our product and of course making the delivery of the solution that we have promised to our customer. So and they will help me doing this presentation today. So let's say what are we going to talk today? Well, some corporate news about Harmonic, maybe what happened between 2024 last year and 2025. Then I will talk a little bit about XOS main recent features in 2025. I know in Italy it's a country thanks to CV also that we are selling a lot of XOS. So I think it was interesting also for you to know what was new in 2025. At IBC we didn't talk too much about it, but now I'm going to focus a little bit what has been done this year, what's going to come up in 2026, and what we're working on basically at our R&D. Then Jean-Luc will, who is more our specialist in playout, will do VOS and XOS for playout to delivery. A focus on one of our major also product line here, playout in Harmonic here. Then Olivier will talk about the hybrid streaming solution. So yeah, it's true that now SaaS is nice, but those hybrid solution, cloud and on-prem, is something that we are really working hard on this. And he will also work on. He's also working on ad monetization, so he will present it also what is new that we have worked those last 2 years on it. And I will finish with some AI with media processing, how we are working on it. This is more repetition of what we have done on IBC, but maybe not everybody was on IBC this year. So coming back, and I did a little live demo, speech to text, so in Italian, of course. So like that, you can see that it's not fake. It's something that we are doing right now. It's running since today, especially for Italian. So that's the agenda for this morning, and then we'll let our tag partner here for their part. So if I go to some corporate news, Harmony corporate news, so well, maybe some of you know we have two divisions. We are two market leading business units. We have the broadband, and so this is not something that I will talk today, of course, but it's our broadband division, and we are more on the video division here, our three. So the last year was okay, a good year, let's say. We have more than $679 million, so it was correct. You will see that our broadband division is almost 500, and video division is 200. So you see now, it was maybe opposite. Maybe 7 years ago, it was video and now broadband, but broadband is taking the lead. But it's it's not a surprise for you. Let's say our industry is not, of course, it's not what it used to be, of course, and that's what is really showing the numbers here, definitely. So market capitalization is still at 1.3 billion. So well, it's okay. We're doing well, I think. And let's say maybe 2024, we had some, it was something that Harmonic was video division was at sales. Nobody was interested. Finally, we are back. We're back with the broadband team. So we're not going to be sell next year or so. It's the story is over. Let's say. So a lot of rumor was around it, but now it's over. So we're happy that we still are with the broadband division, because I think even the video division will do a little bit better than the broadband division. Well, we'll do better than what we done last year. So broadband will be a little bit, we think, what will finish in 2025. The broadband will go a little bit down, and we'll go a little bit up. So video division. So it means that it's not as bad as people will say. So still our Silicon Valley headquarters that's not changing. We have our R&D, quite a big R&D in Europe. I think the biggest R&D in video is in France. So that's for the video. We have R&D in Hong Kong and Vancouver, and of course a little bit on the headquarters in San Jose. But the main three sites are France and let's say Hong Kong or Vancouver. And so that's let's say at a glance of what we're doing and how big is the company now. So our broadband division, and let's say while we talk about it, and let's say our division video is divided into, we say video broadcast, what we call it also appliance, or all the XOS, Prostramex, all NMX, those are video broadcasts, what we call that division video broadcast. And when we talk SaaS cloud, we talk cloud streaming. So that's more VOS. When we say VOS, it's more going to be the cloud streaming. So both of them are, I think we're a strong leader actually in both division, even VOS or XOS. So so that's basically what we're gonna what we're gonna talk today about, those video broadcasts and cloud streaming. That's it for the corporate news. No, nothing. 2025 is looking a good let's say, a good, not a terrific year, but it's okay year, let's say. We have seen, of course, better, but the numbers are not looking okay. Maybe we have two divisions on video. We have PNP, product and playout, and video. It looks like the PNP is not as good as it used to be in the other years. Okay, it's cycle, it's like that. So, but that's what's coming on 2025 for the numbers that we have. Now let's go to more technical points. XOS. So that's we're going to talk about what happened in 2025. Not going to talk everything, maybe because there was a lot, and I try to select what was, I think, interesting for the Italian market. There were more to say, but let's say I try to make the most important feature that we have. So I divide in a hardware and software base. So I'm going to talk about the hardware. So for people who don't know, we have for our XOS is our flagship appliance device that we are adding more and more features on it. It's not only encoding, it's doing now decoding. We also have also an origin. So in terms of hardware, we have 4 different kind of XOS. We have from small, medium, large, and extra large. So depending on the processing power you required, or for the different application. The XOS small, the first one here let's say in red, is perfect platform for decoding or encoding, but small, you're usually going to do 4, 5 encoding, depending if you are HEVC or AVC. And it's also a nice gateway, SRT gateway, TS for this. But it's a few services. It's not, we have a chassis we don't have the same processing power here. We don't have the same number of input-output also available. But it's with CV, I think we sold quite a lot around all Italy, especially the small broadcasters. And Luca was telling me, I didn't remember, they sold about 200 XOS boxes since 2022, 21 by memory. So, and now we're having a new generation. The V1 generation is over. We're going for a V2 generation, and we'll talk about just a little bit later. And end of 2024, we also changed generation of hardware for XOS for the medium, large, and extra large. We went from G10 because we are HP. Of course, it's HP. We are generation 10 HP. Now we're going to the generation 11. So, of course, more power, more encoding capability, more decoding capability. And also something that my colleague Jean-Luc will talk about it is this playout. Something that it was not something that we had it on the cloud before, and since at least 2 years now, 2.5, 2 years now. So we have implemented something that it wasn't only in the cloud before, the playout capability. We're bringing also on ground, on devices on XOS, and we are making available on the large or extra large. So we'll explain a bit why only on those two units. But it's something quite important that we have been working those last 2 years. When you go from large to extra large, usually you're going to need to do, if you want a high density number of encoding device with the encoding, you need a lot of encoding or decoding. You will go with those large or extra large because the CPU power that you have, and also UHD. UHD is only starting by large and continue to extra large. But it's two UHD usually, or 3 UHD on extra large, on broadcast, not on OTT streaming, and more on extra large, of course, here. So that hasn't really changed too much since end of 2024. So in terms of density, we're a little bit better, but not terrific compared to 2024. And so, but the new one is this, let's say we could concentrate on this XOS small V2A server. That's the new one going out in, well, I think in 3 weeks. We are starting to ship them in the next days. The big difference between what we had XOS small before and the new one is the number of PCI slots. We were quite limited on the number of PCI slots before. We only had 2. That was, in some combination, it was quite limited. So now we will have 4 PCI slots on this one. And for some customer, well, I'm talking more about the towers, for instance, the extended temperature range, the other device was not able to go in very high temperature range. This chassis is now able to go in those high temperature, more than 45 degrees. So but in terms of density, no big changes on here. It's a small unit, quite cheap, so we try to make it, really cost effective for most of our customers here. So it's still 4 HD services, or maybe 7 or 8 SD, but no UHD on this kind of chassis. It's only HD. It can go also OTT, but it's more broadcast, let's say, because you're limited by the number of profile that you will have. So so like I was saying, was more PCI slots that will be available. A dual power supply, something we didn't have before, and a lot of customer was kind of complaining about it. Yeah, we want something, but we want a dual power supply. I know we have been talking about it, but and now now it's available on this chassis now. In terms of sorry, it was. The combination, sorry. Number of combination also, because on the PCI slot, we can also receive DBVS. We have DBS card, so we can receive satellite directly. And you have also some CAM modules that you can add on those PCI slots. And of course, an SDI 8, 4 output, depends on your needs. So that's why we now, with 4 slot, combination are much more important here to use them. We got almost 16 different combination between the SDI or the DBCI or the S2 boards to do. So interesting in terms of possibility. Now hardware is done. What it was the recent new features on origin and encoding. Since middle of this year, we have released an XOS origin. We know that for small configuration, maybe some customer were interested in having everything in one box. It means that having encoding, packaging, and origin for a few services. So that was one of our, let's say, the market was asking something kind of like that, and we were not able to do that before with the Generation 10 HP devices, because we didn't have enough RAM or enough disk, actually, especially for the NPVR or let's say the catch-up start over. So now let's say we have inside the XOS, we have added more disk, SSD, and more RAM to be able to have these live DVR windows, a bigger one, and of course doing some packaging on the fly, and having, let's say, a few days of catch up or start over here. So that's something pretty new here that we have in terms of hardware and software base. But let's say the origin was already existing before on the XOS. It's just that we were not able to work it correctly with size. The size was too small on the hardware speaking to do it. So that's something that we have made available now middle of this year. We still have the same capability to have a unique manifest, the same URL for catch-up, start over, and live. So that's exactly what we already have in VOS. It is VOS and XOS has the same code, basically. So but it's just a matter of the redundancy and the management of Kubernetes, which is different. So that's one of the new things that we delivered this year. That was the middle of this year. We also made some catch-up of, people will say, oh, it's finally you finish all what was on the X2 encoder. We finally, I think, that was one of the last thing we were still have to develop. It was all the input redundancy possibilities. There was a lot of possibility with the X2. Not all was not already available in XOS, and I think now we had it. We have done everything. And it was for input redundancy. You could do the redundancy with path, with PMT missing. XOS was not yet having that. Now it's having it. Also some demux triggering for redundancy also was now available. Now it's done. Feature gap is also is done for this one. Time code generation, that's something that was also available on X2, and it was the use case usually for this was especially for subtitling when you have an external subtitle system and the PTS was not inserted, and so of course some players were not able to bring correctly the subtitles here. And so the XOS now is able to restamp that and put the correct PTS with audio and video synchronization here. So that is something also it was available on the X2. Now it's also especially important on OTT and especially on low latency where it's interesting to have the time code generated here. So that's that's the PTS. Same thing. PTS regeneration, that was also something was missing on that was missing on XOS. It was available on the X2, so we also made that available on the regeneration. And yeah, that's, let's say, basically it for on the encoding part. And also something big that we have done is now a decoder. You know that we have an RD9K, that our decoding device. We are little by little putting more and more features, decoding feature inside XOS. So same thing on XOS decoder. The density is we make it available on all the different devices that we have. So on the XOS small, like I was saying to you, we had 4 encoding. It's almost the same on the decoding side. We can do a 4 SDI decoding on SDI. And for medium, it's 14. On XOS large, it's 24. So it's quite a large density in terms of decoding here. But we're limited on 420 for the moment, or in 1080i on those X2S large. And extra large, you will say, why we have only 16 and not 24? Is because that kind of chassis is dense in terms of CPU, but the PCI slots, we are kind of limited on the number of PCI slots, and the maximum we can do in terms of decoding in SDI output is 16. So that's why, but it's maybe overkilling to do just having an extra large just for decoding here. So that's why usually we're doing more on the X2S large. So yeah, that was the big, let's say, that's something really popped out during 2025 is having XOS decoder. So it means that in one box, you can do encoding, decoding, and it's just a matter of license that you activate or not. So yeah, for the combination I was talking to you before was the number of supported configuration between an SDI or an SDI board or an ASI board. It depends on what you need. You have 16 different kind of configuration that you can mix DVB-S with SDI or with a CAM also module. So those are the 5 different options that you can add on an XOS now in terms of on the PCI slot that is behind. So quite interesting. And yeah, that's the so yeah, it's the dense. We are a dense RID here that you can have. You can receive S2 input, transport stream input, and you can get out until 24 HGSDI. That's for a dense RID. Or you do the combined decoding and encoding in one box. So bidirectional transmission. And something I will just talk right now is that also we're going to release very shortly something that we have done. I know it was 2110 input on the XOS. That's something that we were able to do before, and already on the XOS. But the source was 2110 coming from the playout, and we were doing a transport stream output at the output. So, and now we're able on the decoding to receive a transport stream input or SRT or S2, and now getting back in 2110, so at the output. So in some cases, that was in the roadmap this year, having the full chain, 2110 input, 2110 output. So, and from HD, our UHD is not completely ready. It's going to be, HD is going to be ready at the end of the quarter, and UHD will be more in Q1 or Q2 2000. I think it's Q1 2026. So, and we can do on XOS extra large until 8 channel in 2110 output. So that's something that we'll get out very soon. Well, at the end of this quarter, so in end of December. What's coming next? So that's on XOS. What we will do end of the month and or in Q1 is especially the latency. Something that we want to go more and more is going back on the contribution side. Make it a CP9K is our hardware very low latency device. XOS, we want also to have a lower latency. Of course, probably we won't be able, and it's a software, to go lower than we do on CP9K today, but we still want to be around 800 milliseconds from glass to glass. So that's our target, to be encoding, decoding less than a second. So that's something we're going to work on. We already work on an encoding, and we're going to do the same thing on the decoding to have a software solution here from glass to glass. So that is something that we're working for this year and next year. And on the roadmap, what was going to get out in the next in this quarter, we're going to release JPEG XS UHD input, HLS ingest support, LCAVC or VVC. That's more for a Brazilian. The Brazilian are really going on those new codecs actually. So that's why we're making them available for those encoding side, and some watermarking with the Eredito. That's something that we are releasing also very soon. And XOS also V2A, the new XOS medium and small version 2, that server, that hardware that we are going to release to. So that's for the XOS and at the end of the quarter. If you need to have more information on what it will be 2026 as a roadmap, I can give it to you. But as today is recorded and it's on YouTube, I don't want to give too much information to our competitors for 2026. Okay, you imagine. All right, so I let the floor now for the next part of VOS XOS playout to my colleague and Jean-Luc. He will go deeper now on this playout solution.
Thank you. Question first. Do you have question? Yeah, please. No, if you have question about XOS, that's time. If you have some. No? Yes? Okay. Okay. Can do that as well, yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about playout, VOS and XOS. It's VOS, it's our cloud product, and XOS, you know it now. It's the hardware, the appliance one. Mainly, we want to let you know a little bit about all the product that we have in playout first. So we have, let's say, 3 pillars. One is the Spectrum, so it's a dedicated hardware. So I'm sure a lot of people from all the company knows Spectrum X. It comes from a long time. That's an Omnion heritage. It's storage and dedicated server for playout, for news and so on. It still exists. We increase the density and so on, so it's still a product. XOS, you know it. Adding on the encoder some storage plus the playout apps means it is a video server like a channel in a box. So we have either playout, automation, and transcode, everything into it. So let's say you put a MXF file, and at the output, you go directly to your customer in OTT, for example. All those things are possible in XOS. In VOS, it's compressed input and output as well. And the goal of VOS is to have some on-prem or on the cloud
product that can handle 50 channels per VOS. So that's mainly the big one, and it's SaaS. In short, we just focus on some differences. Spectrum, it's baseband, in and out, 2110 SDI, whatever. And XOS, the input can be SDI, but the output, like VOS, is always compressed. So that's really where the difference is. XOS is a standalone box. We don't have shared storage and so on. That doesn't work. If you want that, it's Spectrum. That's another product. Or go directly with some, we have some big customers that have multiple VOSs to handle, let's say, 80 or 90 channels. So that's the way we deploy VOS in this case. There's still some differences between products. If you want something really, really close to air with a few frame delays for whatever you want, it's still the Spectrum because it's baseband, it's dedicated video board that's really made for live and to react as fast as possible. XOS, it's a little bit different, XOS and VOS. We are progressing, but we still have, let's say, not the same amount of feature for graphics, for example. But the goal, it's a bit different. I will go back to that. I mean, the way we design the product, it's to save money by making feature a little bit differently. So, but I will go back to that. And of course, Spectrum and XOS, you buy it, and VOS, you have the usage. So that's why we are calling it SaaS. So per month, it's a fee, like you are at home paying your electricity or your water. So there's a subscription plus, based on consumption, you are paying us. So it's a little bit different. Okay, play out to delivery. Why are we calling it play out to delivery and not just play out? Because it's not just switching live and file. It's mainly because we are processing the output and we can deliver it directly. So that's why we are calling it play out to delivery. Delivery means it can be a contribution feed or it can be directly as HLS, for example. So for some regional station, for example, or some smaller channels, that's exactly why we want to propose that. So in a little bit more details, we can, of course, have some file and live. And everything into that means all the features that are coming from XOS as presented before by Christophe are available here. So that means we heritage from all the IQ, all the encoder quality, and so on. And from the Spectrum, from the long life of Spectrum, I mean, managing the video file, managing the graphics, everything into that, of course, we create an onboard automation that make it really like a video server. So all those features are available, but we will go through each of it. Yes, in details. So yeah, a little bit more in details. Don't know if I can remove it. I want to move. Sorry. More in details, we have the video player that can handle 2 files at the same time. Same for the live. We can decode 2 at the same time. So that means we can start to make switch from live to live. We will be able in 2026 to make crossfade between live file and so on. Today it's more like switching between all of these, but mainly compare to a part of my competition that is running this kind of software. It's really different because we can handle all of things. It's where VOS and XOS are really different. Everything is made in live. So you can modify the file at the last seconds. You can do techniques, you can render everything because it's live. So it's really like a video server, like a traditional video server, but based on some technology that is running in the cloud. It's Kubernetes based. It's really modern. So that means we are not different than what AWS or Microsoft or Google or Akamai propose. This is just our implementation. So that's a shift in terms of deployment because you can start and stop it whenever you want. So that means in terms of saving, in terms of dollars per month, if you want to use a playout just for a week or for, let's say, for Christmas channel, for example, or for weekend because you have football events, you can start it, you can stop it. That's mainly the main goal for this kind of architecture. It's to create something that can run 24/7, but that have been optimized to start and stop depending of what you want to use. And yeah, as usual for this kind of playout channel, it can be connected to traffic, so you can manually build your playlist. We have some tools internally. I mean, inside the playout UI, you will see it later. But you can import directly the traffic from the traffic, the playlist. So that means we are managing BXF. And of course, we are harmonic. And like always, every single feature are available through API. So that means people like Aveco, like Etere, for example, are already able to control us directly by API. So it's not just our software, but VOS and XOS can be driven by an external automation, like today. So that's really something different as well. So, yeah, don't want to go through too much in details on that because you've seen already XOS. So the input can be DVB, SRT, SDI, and VOS, of course. We cannot have baseband in the cloud, so that's why we are running TS and SRT mainly. What are we supporting? Nothing new, absolutely nothing. So MXF, whatever XDCAM, AVC Intra, we can go up in UHD up to 600 megabits with XOS. So it's really something common. It is the same decoder. This is the same media API that we are using on Spectrum. So that means we have the 100% of compatibility from the past. What we have added, of course, it's a TS because VOS and XOS are mainly based on live at the beginning. So having it on file, that's easier. And of course, a QuickTime, XDCAM, and DVC Pro, still some customers are using it. So the maximum bitrate is 250 in the cloud, but on XOS, because it's local, the SSD can deliver far more bandwidth, so we can go up to 600 megabits per second. In the cloud, the problem is the time to react and the buffer accessing to the storage. So that's why we are limited ourselves to 250 seconds. So all the transcode, all the pre-transcode, I mean, I'm sure you know my competition on that. I don't want to name it, but a lot of people, a lot of companies need to pre-transcode. So you have an XDCAM, you have to create something like a TS file at 12 megabits. And maybe sometimes you need to add the graphics directly at the pre-render step, which is absolutely not the way we want to use a playout. We want to let you use at the last second. We want to render it at the last seconds. We want to make a DV at the last seconds. We want to let you change the title at the last seconds. That's why we create all those chains. It consumes a little bit more CPU, but it lets you the possibility to change your playlist, to modify what you want to broadcast at the last second. So that's why we are rendering everything in live. That's really a key differentiator based on the competition, but also the way we are using the CPU, the way we are working. It's pretty important for us. The graphic, it's always something tricky. In the previous slide, you see some icons. We have the HTML5 way to work. So that means using Google tools or Adobe tools, we can really create some deep and sophisticated HTML5 because we are rendering per frame. So that means in an HTML5, it's not just a logo like a website that is crossing the screen and that's it. No, per frame, we are handling the position of each element in the video, even in the text. So if it's a 25 frames per second, we are rendering it at 25 frames per second. It's huge. It's really deep in terms of architecture, in terms of work for us to develop that. But we want to create something like if you have, let's say, a DV plus a background plus another logo plus a text and all those things that can come together to be absolutely frame accurate. So that's why we work like that. And as usual, it allows some change at the last seconds. yes, I don't want to say something like an evidence, but of course we are processing the subtitle. It can be like SRT or STL. Everything needs to be inserted in the VOS or an XOS, and we can deliver directly whatever we want, so DVB, DVB sub. We can even burn on top of the file, and of course we can propose the HLS in WebVTT. That means the subtitle is present. We can handle, let's say, more than 16 languages at the same time. It's pretty deep in terms of feature. Yes, there's as well. Why? A bit strange. Anyway, we are handling. It's great. It's a bit strange. So we are seeing that we are handling all the SCSI messages. So that means we can insert based on playlist all the SCSI marker, like splice out, splice in when we have an ad break. We can directly insert some information based on file as well. And we can, if it's needed, let's say, for example, when we have an external automation with Aveco for some specific American customer that have a lot of affiliate, and per affiliate, they can propose some channels or part of the channels or part of the program and so on. We can directly let them insert at this step. So that means just at the encoder step, we can send, automation can send by API a specific SCSI message time-stamped. So that means we know exactly at which frame the SCSI message will be delivered to the transcoder or to the let's say, downstream chain. And last but not least, when you have an OB-VAN that have a SCSI message at the beginning of a football match or just before the break, for example, play out, understand, and read this message that is coming from the live source. So we know, oh, okay, that's the first half of the football match. We can switch, let's say, to a break, to another live, or to ads, whatever. It's directly done receiving the info from the OB-VAN. It's something that is coming, from Amazon when they start to make some rules, change some rules because they want to have some right to propose some live event. They impose to all the OB-VAN that SCSI message, so we are using it as well. So that's a good heritage from them. I don't want to thank them, but let's say that they make it happen. One more thing on all the input. Just a slide on the live, but it's exactly the same for file. Whatever the source, live source is, SD, HD, UHD, 1080i, 1080p, we don't care. We are upscaling, downscaling. That's the same for the file. So that means on the fly, we are able to propose something, and at the output, the encoder define the output. Can be in HD, can be UHD, whatever. We are upscaling or downscaling. We can even have, let's say, an IMX 30 file that is SD, and we can have it in UHD. I don't want to promise something nice in terms of quality because it's HD to UHD, but it is possible. Some features that are coming from the Spectrum world, for some of you that knows, it's exactly the same. From the same playlist, we can handle and we can filter graphics. So that means we can have an output with all the graphics, all the branding, another output that have just a logo, a channel logo without the clock, for example. So you can repropose it, or without the graphics, so an affiliate or some region can pick the signals and have on top of it the same graphics. Let's say for the weather channels or for the news, you can deliver it. And if you want to record at the same time, because we have some switch, we have some video, let's say part of the playlist, so it's mainly clean output. So we have the possibility to get the dirty output or partial dirty every output from the same playlist. So on us, it's just one playlist, and the operator are seeing just one playlist. Talk a little bit about UHD playout. Yes, it's possible. Whatever the source, I'd say that in terms of input. This is exactly the same graphics. It's exactly the same look and feel. And the beauty of it, it's per file or per source. We can get, for example, an HD that is SDR. We can have a UHD that is HLG. Whatever the process that needs to be done, it's done per source. So that means we are decoding and we are, let's say, recolorizing the output to be, let's say, if here I want the output to be HDR10 plus, okay, fine. Everything will be decode and re-encode based on Dolby algorithm or Beacom algorithm to be sure that at the output we have something that is always HDR10. So we have all the tone conversion and color expansion directly embedded into it. And it's in production. That works. In Germany. Okay, loop record and playback. It's not because we are on the cloud or we are using cloud technology that customer doesn't need to record. But there's some constraint on that. We don't want just to create something like an XDCAM file that is available by thousands of competition that are running in the cloud or using FFmpeg and so on. No, we want to go a step ahead that. Why? Because the interest of us is really to consume the less amount of CPU as possible. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel in terms of operation. We just want to be sure that we are consuming the less CPU. That means you are paying per month, or on your XOS, you can have a lot of channel. Why that? And how we do that? Instead of transcoding the source, I mean, when you have an SDI, you want to create an XDCAM file. Internally, the system is transcoding it. It's creating an XDCAM that is MPEG-2, 12 GOP, and blah, 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 all those things. Okay, fine. Here, mainly, I mean, a good part of the input are already compressed. Why decoding it to create something that need to be re-encoding later? No, keep it as it is, really. So that means whatever the video, the live source, that is coming with all the DVB, with all the SCSI message, with all the languages, every single bit is recording inside VOS. We are using 0.3 CPU, quite nothing. And we have a file. And this file can be replayed 3 minutes later. So that means we are enabling all the while features. So that means we are recording, we are replaying it. And at the same time, we can start with clip editor to modify the in and out. And while we are modifying the in and out, automatically the playlist is updated. So all the chain is covered. In less than 3 months, we will have the export as well. So that means from this file, we will export just the video and the audio to create an MP4. So that means we will be able to send that to an editing station, for example. So that's the last point. Everything is, I mean, I already said it. So that means at the playout step, the live source that is now as a file, we are picking it and we are decoding and retranscoding. So that means in terms of quality, we just have one step, one decoding and encoding step. So in terms of quality, in terms of CPU, in terms of usage, you have the same usage. You have less CPU usage. So that means at the end, we are consuming less power, less energy. And that means in one box, you can put more channels. That's really the goal of it. Last but not least, because we are recording everything, we are ready to replay it. So that means we have, by default, a delay line. So we can just play it. Can be a mux, can be just one service. That's ready. We can delay by 1 hour, by 3 hours, whatever. I mean, if we want to do a +1 channel, that's fine. And on top of that, as usual, we can add, let's say, for example, a new logo, because we record, let's say, the clean channel that we've seen before. We put a new logo, and that's fine. That works. And it's in production as well. It's the delay line. It's interesting because we can, the maximum that we did with the engineering, I don't know if it's reality for customer, but we delayed by 25 days. I don't know for why, but okay, we can do that. We did that in the cloud, so we have large storage as well, but it's interesting to know. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about operation. I talk about clip editor. It's important when you record, you never know exactly when the football match will start and when it will end. Do we have a corner, and that means we are, instead of 45 minutes, it will be, let's say, 50 minutes. Okay, you're a football fan, a bit like me, so I'm sure you never know exactly. You know, it will start, let's say, at 8 p.m., but a little bit before. Oh, why not having all the players that are going to the pitch? Okay, we record, let's say, 10 minutes before. Something happened, we can pick that from a clip editor and directly play it. So that's really the goal of that kind of usage, modifying everything during the record. Let's talk about the UI, because we have an onboard automation. That means operator can directly use it. And interestingly, half of our customer, half of the channel that are running XOS and VOS are using this tool, are not using external automation. So that means we are moving progressively to something that is more economic, more with some saving. So instead of having a lot of stuff around, just with one box, you can have some TV channels running on that. Let me explain. Oops, sorry. Let me explain a little bit what it is. So there's a lot of info here. I mean, if you are a user, you can open it and you can modify all the view. I mean, from the green and yellow color, you can change it to be, let's say, yellow or orange and red, whatever. The alarms can be modified as well. All the columns can be removed or modified or enlarge, whatever you want to do. Everything here, it's a main event. When you have this, you can click on that and you see all the graphics that is in that. Let's say, for example, on this one, you have the 3 graphics that is represented by the 8 layers on top of that. If you don't want, you can close it and you have just the timeline, making 6 lines more available on the main grid. Here, that's the output. So that's a WebRTC. It's a half of seconds delay. So that means you can really interact and having like a live. So that's exactly made for that. You can listen, here it's just English, but you can have, let's say, Italian, French, Spanish, whatever, and you can click directly instead of the cross. You can listen directly which audio you want to have. All the live can be in those 2. There's just one, sorry for this screenshot. So that means we have 2 live here. As I show you before, we are decoding always 2 live. And let's say, yeah, maybe this is the right example for that. Let's say we have 2 sources that are coming from 2 different contribution feed, one IP, one satellite. Okay, satellite is down, we're just receiving the audio, nothing on the video. So it says, okay, hold on, switch to this one, because we know that there's a live. So operator can react immediately and change it. And by those 2 triangles, you can directly switch if you have some redundancy. If you have some, let's say, more channels, you can see that directly here. Here, that's all the assets, the list of all the assets. You can sort it. You can start to search for some, same for graphics, same for feeds, and sequence. It's what we call it sequence, but in fact, it's block. A block, it means it's something that can start immediately. It's always ready to go. Let's say for a break, for live break, for sport that you don't know when to start, for some ad, you know that you have some ads to play. You don't know exactly at what time you want to play it because you are waiting for the journalist to stop speaking, for example, or like me, stopping speaking. That means you can start an ad, yeah, instead of having a glass of water. That's exactly the goal of that. So you can start directly immediately. And it can be triggered by, yes, a GPI, can be triggered by a SCSI message or directly by a button to click. So all those things are available in this UI. All the playout, what we call the playout monitor, let's say the 2 input and the output, are possible to see, and we have already some customer using it. Thanks to my friends at Tag, we can directly send them the WebRTC, they are receiving it, or they can decode as well the OTT and the TS, and you can have it, instead of my little tiny video, you can have it on a bigger multi-viewer, and they can see, oh, there's a problem because there's no more audio and so on. So all those things are handled by the multi-viewer. All right, I don't have a lot of slides. Just the 2 XOS that are able to handle the video are more important, but the only 2 XOS where we can have some drives, SSD, and let's see, in 1U, you can have 10 HD channel or 1 UHD. If you want to load it with full frame graphics, yes, it consumes some CPU. So that means we are going down to 6. The big ones, the X large, start to be more interesting. Let's say with graphics, with DV and so on, you can have 13 channels or 2 UHD in 1 U. It starts to be really interesting. I'll let you discuss the price with CVE, but really the density is pretty important. And of course, we can handle it as a redundancy. We have some external tool to make it happen. In the cloud, that's the same. We have from one playlist, we can run in 2 AZ, so that means we are rendering twice. So the output will be available from 2 sources. That means we can directly get it from two parts, to contribution feed. If needed, we have a minimum. That means it can be a minimum, can be an automation. Everything can be controlled, what we call hybrid. So from the same operator UI, let's say you have an automation, let's say Etere, why not? Or Aveco, whoever you want. They can handle either Spectrum X, sending the same file, and they can send that to XOS on board, or they can send it directly in the cloud. So it's what we call hybrid. There's a TV channel in Switzerland called RSI, that's the national TV. They are using mainly Spectrum with an automation, 24/7, perfect. But for the channel that are pop-up channel, for sports that are over the weekend, instead of investing in, let's say, 2 or 3 more Spectrum, no, they have a cloud subscription and they start and stop the service just when they want to use it. Just one case study. I go a little bit faster. Don't know if it's really important because it's not exactly like what you have, but in fact, I kept it because it's important to see, for example, it's a local TV channel. They receive the main SDI from the national, can be an SRT, whatever. At the same time, we are encoding in IP to make it happen at the loop record. At the same time, all the graphics and the video goes to the internal storage. And locally, they can modify, they can replay whatever they want. So the main, the main video is in Mexico, and all the big cities are equipped with XOS. So that means locally, they can handle directly by one XOS only. Creating a local playlist. They can record and replay. They can do whatever they want, just because they have one thing like that. It's a news. Noticias. It's kind of network. So that means it's pretty important when you have some news. You know, like me, you have a lot of things that happen. It's never exactly what you plan. It's not exactly like the playlist. So that's why if they can do that directly with XOS, you can do a lot directly with this tool. Last slide. Okay, just to let you remember, all the workflow are possible. The output can be broadcast in TS, contribution, or OTT. It's compatible with automation, but if you don't want, that's fine. It handles all the quality that we have today in the XOS because it's exactly the same codec, nothing changed. Everything can be branding with the graphics, can record, replay, have some dirty or clean output, and it's already on air in a lot of TV stations in US, in Europe. Close to you, and CV already sell some XOS to customer. I don't remember the name of it, but I'm sure you will know it. It's in south of Italy. Catholic TV channels. Question? No question? You can talk to me later, that's fine. Or no. Okay. Olivier?
All right. Thank you, Jean-Luc. So we'll talk about the hybrid streaming solution. Let's start with some intros, where we are currently and what we are seeing on the market. So 2 examples, but there are multiple examples which show the feedback from multiple media companies which are saying, okay, revenue is on streaming better and better every year, and but there are still losses on the cost to maintain the infrastructure. So that's one of the challenge is the revenue is growing, but at the same time there are constraints to have cost reduction to operate the platform, to operate a streaming platform. A quick, it's really a high-level view about what a streaming platform is about. We are speaking about having the inputs, which could be files or the live sources. You have transcoding. You have the packaging origin. You have the storage. If you are doing recordings, you are providing record services, you need storage. You have the CDN, which allow you to deliver, and then you have the end user to get that. We are providing a system called VOS, and it was expressed a couple of times. And in two approaches. The first one is a SaaS, so it's VOS 360. The other one is VOS media software. We have both solutions which can run on premises or in the cloud, and it could be in the public cloud or it could be in the cloud running. There are multiple angles. It's the same software foundation we are using on both sides. The question is, which model is the best? Depending, you are targeting a specific TCO, and which model is the best. And as we have both solutions, the next question is, what is the best plan depending on your needs? And every case is more, can be independent. Let's start for the economics of transcoding, and again, it's high level. You have three main cases. The first one is you have 24/7 channel, a channel which is running on 24/7. On-prem is gives the more advantages because it's 24/7, so it's flat. The next one is live events. They gave some Jean-Luc gave some example about football events over the weekend. During a couple of hours, you need to just have those live event channels. Okay, it's just for, let's say, 10 hours over the weekend and not 7 and 24 hours over a month. The last model is for the VOD. You might have some constant need, and for whatever reason, you negotiate new rights and you have a new, I don't know, a new major, you sign a new deal and you have to encode nearly the entire library for your VOD platform in a short period of time. So you do not have enough capacity, and that's where the hybrid gives you advantage, because you run on-prem for the 24/7, or more, not the 24/7, but for your day-to-day, but when you have those, you can expand in the cloud. So it's really those cases. So that's for the transcoding part. So remember, we had that diagram which shows the 4 boxes: transcoding, packaging origin, storage. I'm moving to the origin. The origin is built for peak. So we do not see what is happening on average. We do not care. We look on what is my maximum peak, because this is where you need to handle that peak time. And even if that peak time is once or twice a year, you need to build the platform for it. And you can have exceptional event. Next year, 2026, we have major event. When I'm saying major event, in most of the cases, it's sport event. And think about, you have the Olympics in February, you have the World Cup around June. So yeah, it's a big year. I feel like every 2 years is a big year for us. And that peak can be, compared to the average, and that peak is 5 times higher, and that 5 times is something you have to take in account. The next one is the economics of storage. How many terabytes do I need on my system? And there is a mix. So that mix is what we call the hot storage. So it's the content which is used. And you have the cold storage. It's a content, and especially if you are doing recording and you have long time retention, you have a lot of content which sits in storage which are not used, and those ones are cold content. You have different approach. The first one is you say, okay, I'm buying a high performance storage, or I'm using high performance storage. It's very expensive because you need that high performance for the hot, but for the cold, which is not used a lot, well, it does not fly at the end in terms of cost management. The other one is the opposite. You use a low performance storage, but then you have performance issue for the hot storage. So the right approach is to use an hybrid model to have the right balance between cost and performance depending on the type of content. We did a TCO exercise. So we took one platform. So on the left side is the classic. So to do that exercise, we just focus. We use the same transcoding. We use the same CDN. What change is the origin and the storage. So what's have a heavy lift because you can have a huge storage needed. So we compare, okay, let's take everything on premises, classic deployment, and we have, for redundancy purpose, we have two systems which are running for redundant purpose. And on the other side, we took the same approach for the hot. So all the hot content is on that redundancy, but all the cold content is moved to the cloud to a cold storage, something which sits, it's not used, etc. So I'm just giving you, for that configuration example, we're speaking about 200 linear channels, a rolling buffer about 7 days. So you keep the content in the rolling buffer for time shift and start over for 7 days. The NPVR is available for a year, and that happens. You can provide the content for a year. We're speaking about 5 petabytes of storage, roughly 1 petabyte of hot content, so everything which is used, and 4 petabytes of cold content. And the egress of the origin is 4.5 petabytes per month. And in that exercise, we did the exercise on 5 years TCO. And when we go to the reference, we are seeing, it's a scale, it's not the final number, but it's to give you the scale. Well, if you pay 100 for the reference, so the 1+1 hot, high performance, you pay 100. And if you go to hybrid, we are getting numbers so 33% lower in terms of cost on 5 years. The key takeaway we have is the hybrid architecture is more cost effective. That's one thing. The big thing is how the assets are distributed between the hot and cold. That's where the challenge is when are you deciding to move an asset from one place to another one, to say, okay, this asset is not hot anymore, I'm moving into the cold, and I'm sure it won't be used. And having the automation to move is the way we're approaching it is based on the origin hit. We are not looking on, oh, this is a popular content for the end user. No, we are looking from the origin, from the media system, the media platform, and we're looking on this media platform. Is that content is hot or cold? So let me give you an example. So this is it's an hypothetical listing about different assets which are older or recent, and at the same time you see when it's created, when it's last read, and also the heat. There is a kind of heat, and you say, okay, the first asset inception is really heat, and you see Spirited Away, which is heat also, but it's an older asset. So we define the heat of the content, not the popularity, but the heat of the content from the origin. Is that content used or not? And what we're doing is we have an engine which is moving the asset to the cold storage. Those assets are not used on the origin. We want to move them to something which is really cheap because we know it's not used. What does it mean is we keep the superior performance on the storage where it's needed for the hot assets. That's one thing. We also reduce the latency because those hot assets remain where the storage is highly performant. But at the same time, we maximize the costs of the storage and also the egress to have, okay, the content the assets which are needed are available where it's the cheapest, and we store the content which are cold, which are unused, in the places which are also the cheapest one. But beyond that TCO, there is also a value behind that, an additional value. So we discuss about the ability to have, and I focus on the storage, but there is opening to hybrid is giving you the flexibility. You might have a roadmap which are agile. You might have your marketing team within your company which say, hey, next week I want this. And you are a bit stuck because you do not have the hardware, etc. Well, with hybrid, you can say, oh, I can do it in the cloud for a couple of weeks or for an event, etc. So that's one of the added value. You can do frequent live event pop-up channels. So you have every weekend you know you have recurrent things. Okay, it makes sense to do that instead of having everything on-prem. And you can do the monetization, which is already in the cloud. So by doing that, you have cost management, and at the same time, you open to more flexibility. And to do that flexibility, if I'm taking one step back, you have part of your system which is running on premises and part of the system which is running in the cloud. And we are providing a central management, which is one place to manage your entire system from one place, to create your services, configure them, to monitor the movement of those assets. You see everything just from one place. It's really the day-to-day application you can use. And this is the hybrid solution where you have the two redundant VOS system running on premises. You have the central management, and you have the instance running in the cloud, which take care more about the events, the live events, but also the peak of VODs or the cold VOD, the cold assets. Key takeaways. You deploy cloud native, so there is a platform flexibility, which is a cloud. VOS is cloud native, so you can run on any cloud infrastructure. You manage one system, whatever it's running in the cloud or on-prem, and you have all the automation to manage that. And it's cost-driven. One of the key things is we want to reply here about cost management, because we know there are cost constraints as a media content distributor, media companies, to manage the cost and to be efficient on that. But at the same time, we want to provide the flexibility for you to not be stuck with needs which are popping, like, oh, I want a 4K channel for the Olympics. Oh, I cannot do that because I do not have enough on-prem. That's the purpose. You can do that you can do all of that with from a single place, from a single central management. Okay, so I spoke about costs, which are one constraint. Let's start about, okay, how can I get more revenue on the other side? So it's really one side, and we move on the other side. So let's speak about advertisement. The first thing is, why advertisement? OTT subscription grows for everyone. Okay, there is a fight between every companies. Oh, I want more subscribers than the other, etc. But the total number is growing because there are more and more people using it. At the same time, the revenue from the subscription is kind of going flat at the end. But the advertisement is growing. So there is all the freemium model is something people like more and more, use more and more. And it's proven to get more subscribers too. So there are a couple of examples, like people got additional subscriber because of their freemium model. Same for Netflix, which got they have a new plan which is more ad-based, and they got additional subscribers. And the OTT revenue is based on ads is growing year over year. So just in 2 years, 3 years now, 2 years and a half, advertising will be around 30% of the global streaming revenue. When you want to do advertising on streaming, you have two approaches. The first one is client side, so you do all the logic about advertising on the client side, and the other one is server-side insertion, or SSAI. The SSAI is, there are multiple good things about SSAI. The first thing is, you know the ad blocker, and you want to go against that. Okay, as a personal user, yeah, I like ad blockers, but as on the other side, you might don't want people to use ad blocker, and as everything is happening on the server side, you cannot block the advertising. You expand your also, because as the SSAI is more, it's more easy to deploy. You are targeting more devices. You have better footprint in terms of device reach, and it can go up by 50%. You have good user experience. So there's a lot of good things about the SSI approach, and it's fighting against the people which are using ad blocks, which are up to 30%. So that's huge, and you don't want people to use that. So for that, we have a solution called VOS 360 Ad. And how does it fit in the entire, let's say, ad workflow? Because it's still streaming, but it's going to the ad world, which is a bit different. Some people know, some people does not really know, or we heard about that. I won't go in details about everything which is happening on the left-hand side, but this is where you get ads, how every marketplaces, all the platform which can be used to say, okay, I want a car company first in terms of ad, and everything is happening on that side. And VOS Ad is retrieving the information from those and appending it, integrating it within the linear feed, or within the feed, within the asset you are delivering. So the solution is doing different things. The ingestion of the ads, because we want to provide the best experience, so we want to, instead of having a third-party ads, the ads coming from nowhere, we prefer to say, give us the best quality, so we provide the good quality. You have the triggering logic. How does it work? It's Scotty 35, which are in the feed, and you know when to put the ads. We can do the scrambling for content protection, all of the delivery part. And we do that for live VOD, for time shift, and we do that at scale. And by the way, we are doing zero redundancy, because we know, okay, you want to do it at scale, but at the same time, you want to have the highest quality of services at the same time. So those are the two key things. Again, as I explained, VOD, you can do pre-roll, mid-roll, fast and linear, you can do pre-roll, mid-roll, and ad replacement. So we have the entire portfolio of features for the ad insertion within the streams. And we have a couple of references here. We integrated, so when you do server-side ad insertion, you need to integrate with three pieces. The first one are the packages, because you are receiving the feeds, especially the linear feeds. So you need to integrate with those packages origin, because our VOS 360 ad sits in front of those packages, and so we are integrated with those guys. You need to get the ads, so you need to integrate with the ad platform. And the third one is on the player side, because, okay, you are delivering a stream which has ad inside it, but you need also to provide the triggers. You need also on the client side to push the trigger, to push the heartbeat to say, hey, I saw that ad. You still need to do that. The platform is super robust. As I explained briefly, you have the redundancy. And so, yeah, that the platform, we are providing the highest level of resiliency. The goal is if you lose that platform, you lose your entire stream. You cannot stream. So we want the highest resiliency at that level. That's one thing. If you want to do sports, especially for sports, it's not if you want to do sports, and sport is looking for lowest latency. We are supporting low latency protocol on the platform too. Now, okay, that's cool, you can do that, but you want to see how much you are getting in terms of revenue. And we are providing a full dashboard, which are, how many impressions do I have? So the impression is how many ads were shown to people. You want to see that. So all those KPIs, which are not streaming KPIs, the quality of services of the KPIs, but which are even more business-focused KPIs, are providing here, because we are serving the ads, we are providing the ads, and we want to provide all the level of information, and it's going down to the logs. So you can even see the logs, what was requested in details for every users. As I mentioned earlier, it's proven at scale. It's a couple of numbers, and we deliver for some of the major leagues in the US, but also in other regions around the globe. Some I would say new features, but it's cool features. It's not only SSAI, it's not integrating things and adding an ads within the stream, but it's also enhancing the experience about the ads. One of the things is you're on your tablet, on your laptop, you could even click. Within the player, there is an ad, and you click on it, and it's going to a web page. It's adding some additional interactivity, and most of the people like that because it's different than just having an ad in front of them. There is that integration. Everything of that is standard. There's nothing fancy. I would say fancy. It's user experience fancy, but it's not. It's relying on all the standard on the advertisement side. Close to that, but you're on your connected TV. Same, you can display a small QR code, and you have your phone or your mobile or your tablet, and you take that, and it's going to the ad. So that's two. Those two are close to enhance the experience. I would like to present this third big innovation on the monetization. Beyond the traditional ad break, so you have the content, you have the ad break, and then you have the content back. We are introducing something we are calling in-stream ad, and there are three different patterns, a template you can use. So the box squeeze, the double box, or the L shape. So imagine you are looking on the content, and within that stream, you have the content, and you are nearly putting that content, like if I'm taking the L shape, the content is in the big yellow box, and you have the advertisement, which is in the L part. What we identify is people are less, I would say, hang against that, because it does not break them in the experience to see the content. They see the ad, but they are not impacted by having a switch of content. It's the content within the original content. How does it work? So you have the linear content which is coming. You have some triggers which can be multiple ways to trigger. You can have a video, an operator saying, "Hey, there is a goal at that time. I need that." The project director, whatever human being, but we can also rely on data sources. So data provided by, for example, Sportradar, which are feeding the feed, saying, "Oh, at that time there is this event." And then we are retrieving the ads, the creative from the ad server. So the L box, the squeeze box are provided by the ad servers. And for every end user, we are providing different ads. It's not the same, so you can have multiple. You or Jean-Luc are looking on the same basketball match. He's seeing the blue version. He's seeing the blue version. I'm seeing the yellow version, just as an example. And it's going at scale for every end users. So VOS 360 ad, and that's that's my last one for the advertisement. It's going beyond ad stitching. We are providing all the SSAI advanced features which are needed on the market, from low latency, from the redundancy, multi-CDN. It's going at scale because we have that running at scale since a long time now. You have all the reporting also in terms of dashboards, and we are still working to expand that to provide even more data for our customer. And it's relying on some open ad tech specific ecosystem. So that's really the proper solution, and it's integrated with the rest of the Harmonic products. And that's my last one on my side. And I will call Christophe. I do not know if there are any questions, or if there are questions, come to me after the presentation.
So in case of in
Yeah.
switch the audio or
No, it's only on the video side. It's really the video, which is, you have the ads, which is integrated with the video, and it's an enhanced video. It's the same it's just a video, so you do not have to integrate on the player side. It's still the same video stream. It's just within the stream, you are doing that integration.
but the audio you
No, no.
Volevano solo che ripetessi una domanda perché siamo in streaming, quindi posso chiedere solo questa cortesia.
in case of in stream ID. My question is you have another audio associated to the AD, or you listen the audio, the original audio?
We just change the video side. We do not. The goal is really on the video to apply.
the ADV is static as
Yeah.
an image, or okay. Thank you.
It's a creative, so it can be, yeah.
I still got 10 minutes.
Yeah, we have, thank you. Yeah, we have time. Yeah. 10 minutes. Sì, abbiamo quest'ultima parte, una decina di minuti, e poi facciamo una pausa. Ok.
I'm coming back, sorry. Just 10 minutes, we'll try to finish with that. So, something we made a little bit the buzz on...
Scusate. Solo.
Sorry. I'm trying to finish it fast, sorry. Something what made a kind of buzz in, let's say, an IBC or even an AB now is AI. AI with our media in the media processing is something that will is gonna pop out. It's already not only now only R&D stuff, but I think it's getting more and more on POC base, at least if it's not sometimes on production already. Just a quick words actually on this, because it's something that we have seen in the last year. So yeah, if we go to the 1950, because it's really started in 1950, the AI starting the first algorithm was get out in 1986. But now, since those last year, in last 3 or 4 years, it has been really that it was a tremendous pop up of AI in our industry now. I know, well, in Harmonic, for instance, we have already started to do some machine learning already end of 2019. What we call IQ was our, let's say, video bandwidth optimization. We already had it before in 2019. And now, since, let's say, 2022, ChatGPT came out, and since 2022 and now, wow, AI is popping out in everything. So in our media industry, let's say, what can improve? It can improve our existing operation here. AI can predict and preserve, let's say, audio fidelity. It can be more efficient. It can adapt encoding, automation, processing. It can reduce delay now also on our work day to day. So it's going to go better than an average professional now, and even better in the next years. It's not even started, because I think it's more or less now. It's more and more capable of doing production. But let's say AI doesn't sleep. AI is never sick. AI is it doesn't take vacations. So finally, yeah, it is little by little, and I'm sad saying that, is going to replace some jobs. The demo I got today is a speech to text. So we have some people sometimes doing also some translation, not translation, but also taking from when we have a politic meeting, and sometimes they do. You see those guys are doing some scribing on a text what the politicians are saying. Well, that kind of job doesn't have a great future from my point of view. But it's not a. But if you don't do it, the competition will do it one day. It's sad to say that, but it's something that it's coming. So it's in our media industry, it's something that I think people got to, especially management, has to look at it, and we got to be ready to show to the management too that technology is ready around it. And so, so far there is still some challenges today. When you have a football match or whatever, a sport match here, the players are not yet well named, or the team is not branded correctly. So you still have some banned words sometimes popping up. On voice cloning, for example, the jokes are not very good, translated so far. But it's not that bad. Honestly, it's not that bad for what we have tested, and I will explain it. It is not that bad for us compared to a medium human, let's say. But cost is still important. Depending voice cloning, the cost is still important from my point of view. Speech to text, I think it's kind of the prices are getting, let's say now, correct pricing. I think for be able to think about putting that on production. But latency for live streaming, yeah, I think I discussed that with some of you at IBC, or we discussed that with. It's still high. 30 seconds of latency for a live game. No, it doesn't. Still not. But it was 1 minute in 2024. Now we had 30 seconds in 2025. So it's going fast. And so and now that also, well, GPU. We talk a lot about NVIDIA those last days, well, GPU is going to help that also, not letting that on the cloud, because today our main, let's say, AI partners are in the cloud. But the idea now is putting that on the ground, directly in our devices, because we know security issue is important for you and for other customers. It's they don't want to go back and forth opening firewalls all the times. They were interested in putting that directly in the devices. So yeah, this is the challenges, but it's still and it's still improving. It's improving every year. So, and Harmonic, how we doing it? Actually, we do some in-house AI. You know, we have R&D working on it, but we work a lot for the moment with partners. Okay, for IQ dynamic frame rating, that's something that we have done in-house for years now, and we're improving it every day. Some customers have already been using it, especially during COVID time, for example, for IQ. And now this one is quite new, and I think something that we are partially doing by our own is live speech to text, and that's the demo I will show you right now. And also generative ad triggering for highlight for any sports. It means that we are starting to develop something that we can detect when it's a good moment to do ad breaks. And that's what, for example, what Oliver was just talking about SSAI behind. But you need to detect when you can do the ad break. And that's something that we're working today on it. Not ready for production, not ready even for POC yet, but it's something that we are working inside. But we work a lot with partners. So like I say, voice cloning, for any language, this is still partners are very focused on that, so that's why. And automatic highlight creation, of course, some partners like Ibula, Italians here are doing that very well. And even in games event triggering, for instance. So why are partners? Because they are focusing, some of them are really focusing on voice cloning. Some of them are focusing directly on putting adverts on the good moment. So that's why they are focused on just one particular field. And that's why they go, let's say, faster than us on this kind of thing. So that's why we work a lot with the partners today. And Harmonic, let's say for you, the thing is that we are a beta tester for them. Like that, we validate everything. At least it's something that works, that you can at least show on the POC. And we can also be, let's say, a partner with them in an interface between you and an AI partner, which is, usually there are small companies. They are 15, 20 guys usually, so they're not very big. So we can test most of it's worldwide right now. So we have partnership with, for example, Azure for AI services for speech to caption or speech to text here. That's the one we're doing right now. Voice cloning is we have a partner like LingoPal or CamBAI. Both are pretty good, but some of them are better for some language. Some of them are worse. It depends on Latin or Chinese. It's one of them is better than the other. And Kibula for sport highlight, for instance. Those are I think one of the best solution that we have tested for the sport highlight here. And this is our own tech. And like I was saying, we're those technology, we're gonna little by little bring them in our XOS, for instance, with a GPU board NVIDIA. That's more for 2026. Like the speech to text will be, because it's quite consuming on CPU. So we don't want to lose what we're doing well on transcoding and on the dense transcoder. We prefer to have a GPU only doing all the AI stuff. So that's how we're going to work in 2026 to put that back, really, the AI modules on the ground. So so we got, like, today the AI tech partners are in the cloud. Azure, Unify, CamBAI, LingoPal. And the demo I'm going to do today is with VOS 360. I've got my instance in the cloud, and I'm doing everything in the cloud. Tomorrow is true. XOS, VOS on-prem will have the AI tech partner on the GPU card. So that's what I'm saying. It's more for 2026. Usually, pricing model are per minute usage. So the minute is sometimes quite important. But I think, like I say, speech to text is something that I can be looked at today in 2025 and 2026. It's something I think went quite low. The prices went quite lower, and it's good to look at it now. So yeah, my demo is now. I did it we did that a few weeks ago in Greece. We did that in Portugal maybe 2 weeks ago. And now we're doing it in Italian Well, Greek was, for me, complicated to do because the language, we couldn't even know that it was good or not. And the Greek was telling us it was quite okay. So the speech to text, it was quite okay. In Italian, we were looking, well, of course, CV is easier, but it's quite interesting. And the delay was 0.5 seconds, which is quite low, huh? But it's quite interesting. And the idea is that we took High News 24 from satellites. We took with an RD we put it back on SRT to the cloud, to our VOS 360 instance. We are here in CVE, so I will let's say take it from here. And the thing is that it takes the audio. Well, VOS, what he's doing is taking the audio and is giving back that to Azure AI speech service. The Azure AI speech service is bringing back a file, and we are in OTT bringing that audio in Italian, and of course the subtitles in the audio and the subtitles in Italian, and we're doing that in HLS. So let's say to prove to you that it's not fake what I'm doing, at least I can. Stop the. Let me finish this. Okay. So, for some of you, maybe I've been looking at XOS. As an XOS, yeah, maybe. Let me put it back. Okay, this is my instance that we have in the cloud. I will show you the source that we have. So it's Rai News that I'm taking. Hope I'm not going to have the demo. Whoops. Here we go. Okay. So I show you this as my source. It's Italian, and you will see there's no subtitles. Okay. So I'm taking that. That's what that's my SRT input here. I take a few minutes. I want to prove you that I don't have subtitles on my source. At least you will see. Yeah, here we go. So I have my 24 services and no subtitles here. You see that's the only component I got, it's Italian audio. That's the only thing I have. So, sorry, maybe the audio is not giving it back. I don't have the audio back here. And now I'm going to the output of my VOS here. I already tested, of course, a few minutes ago. And so I might probably send cache. All right, I'm going to resend it like that. This is the URL of the output of the VOS. Yeah. Yeah. And now I'm gonna. You see that I'm not putting that. I'm not giving the subtitles here, and I'm gonna activate them here. And this is where I got. So sorry, I don't have the audio. Oh, that's a shame. It was working before. Can you get the audio back on the screen or not? I don't know if you receive it, but at least. Give it a try on the remote control. Yeah, go. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, better.
La squadra Roma ha arrestato tre sospettati. Le accuse le attestate sulla violenza sessuale ma le indagini
I got too many audios there. Yeah, and it's the double.
Ma le indagini della squadra mobile violenza non sono ancora finite e sono stata violentata da un uomo che della banda facciano parte poi anche altre persone. La
Ah, yeah, the other one, you're right.
è arrestata
You're right, you're right.
5
They
persone.
stopped the play on the VS, you're right.
E lo abbiamo detto in aula alla
Ad
Camera, oggi
agosto
la
una
votazione
sessantenne è stata
sul
violentata da un
testo
uomo originario del
reato di
Gambia, poi
femminicidio non è la
individuato
sola
grazie agli
legge in
abiti
materia di violenza
indossati
di
durante
genere.
l'aggressione è
Okay,
arrestato.
now it's better. No?
E lo abbiamo detto in aula alla Camera, oggi la votazione sul testo che introduce il reato di femminicidio non è la sola legge in materia di violenza di
So,
genere,
this is
un
bring
lungo
by, let's
percorso
say, as
partito
you're-
nel 2019 con l'introduzione
So,
del
I
codice
think the 0.5 second is,
rosso.
for me, is even better.
Sentiamo Elisa Dossi.
So, if Greek is good, Italian should be just better. So that's my point of
Una legge che
view.
introduce il reato di femminicidio e che ha ottenuto il via libera del Senato lo scorso luglio. L'approvazione definitiva fa entrare nel codice penale l'articolo 577 bis, il delitto di femminicidio. Prevede l'ergastolo quando l'omicidio di una donna sia commesso per discriminazione di genere.
Okay. Well, I think it was enough. So,
Elenco dei contenuti consigliati. Per eseguire una ricerca vocale, premere il tasto microfono mentre si parla. Elenco
Okay.
dei contenuti consigliati. Per eseguire una ricerca vocale, premere il tasto microfono mentre si parla.
okay, so it took really, now that we are pretty used to do those kind of demo those last weeks, so after ABC, it took me 5 minutes to do it, honestly. So it's really the first time on the VUS. What is important is that to scale correctly the number of language that we need. We took all the European ones, and now each time it's C, Italian, Greek, Portuguese, it does automatically. We just got to bring the feed to an SRT to the VUS, and then it does automatically. Of course, we pay per minute, so of course I'm going to stop it because it's demo. But yeah, it is working quite well. I think in terms of at least we saw in French and English, the language that we know in our R&D is even Spanish is doing quite well, and even Greece. So it's something that I think this is ready to almost to be on production, at least to do a POC. We have other use cases that also, and that will be more text and subtitle translation too. Something that will be interesting too, that in the future is that we have English and we want to have Arabic or whatever a translation in it. We receive in English, but we want in English, Arabic, French, Italian. We can do it also, but that will be more available in 2026, beginning of 2026. But it's almost for us is almost ready here to be available, and still everything speech to text is quite affordable from my point of view. And voice cloning, okay, if we talk about the audio, that's quite impressive also what we can do now with CambAI or Lingopile, and now it's even doing the translation. If you get, I know we have been talking with Mediaset on this about having receiving German or Spanish and doing the translation in Italian. That is something already in our boxes, let's say, and still in testing, but it will be available early 2026. And we are already quite impressive that the number of language and the accuracy that is doing already in Italian or in French, for instance. So that's the only problem about this is still the delay, 30 seconds. So improving, but still important. That's for the, let's say that's for the audio. And if we go for the video processing, the video annotation, that is something interesting to know where we can do the ad breaks. So that's something that it's also, we work with partner on this, but that's something that it's already, let's say, in progress. And the highlights, also in the football game, the highlights when there's a goal, when there is a penalty, all cable company like that do the highlights, and like that you can, on ChatGPT, for instance, ask when the goal was, can you give me the last sequence of the goal of whatever player? He's going to give it to you automatically. So with Kebula, it timestamped all those information, and you're able to go back on in PVR to go back on the moment where the goal was made or when the penalty was made. So on the video, not only audio but also video, and we're still working with partners on this kind of thing too. So that's more in 2026, really able that we'll be able to do POCs on this, but it's early 2026, so it's almost ready. So things are moving fast on AI, okay, and we are working a lot on this, definitely. And I think that's it for me, and that's it for Harmonics. I think we are 9 minutes late, so sorry, but if you have any questions, yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Ops. Ci fermiamo un secondo, a mezz'oretta, 12:30, 12:35 ripartiamo. Grazie. Good. Grazie. Grazie. Allora ripartiamo con un altro partner importante, Tag. Vi lascio a Benoît. Facciamo circa un'oretta e mezza di presentazione, dopodiché ci fermiamo per il pranzo. Grazie.
Hello everybody. So my name is Benoît Legnac, I'm working for Tag, and this is your second session with French-speaking people. So I'm here together with Nir, who's based in Italy and working as a technical account manager. So thanks a lot for coming. Today we want to, of course, to explain you what we are doing, but also to go in practically in some cases to show a bit what some of our customers have done, just to give you some ideas, and why not maybe to help you to test a new feature in the future pretty soon. So what is Tag? Thank you, Nir. So Tag, we are a company manufacturing a single product, which is a license doing monitoring, multi-viewing, and analytic software solutions. We born in 2008, so we are almost 20 years old. We manufacture, as I said, a single solution, which is a software, which is 100% IP. And today we have deployed it over 100,000, 50,000 points over the world. The issue we address are probing and monitoring and multi-viewing. And I say it in that way because most of you may know us because we are doing multi-viewer, but we are not just a multi-viewer. We are also a solution to provide probing and monitoring. And we developed our products over 3 kinds of applications. The first one is live production, playout, and of course we address the traditional delivery and OTT workflows. as I told you, we have a single license solution, and which is represented here on the screen. On the left side, you have all the input we take. We can monitor and multi-view. So that's typically IP with any format and standard. So typically from JPEG XS to SRT and ZXC. This input, we are going to analyze them. So by probing the video input, then we are going to provide some alarms over this video input if a problem is detected. And of course, we are going to output those analyses on two kinds of output. First, on a multi-viewer, traditional one you are today operating, and second one onto some kind of data analysis tools like typically Elasticsearch and like Kafka and Grafana will provide you some statistic and KPI about your performances. I think you have a good overview here of the single product. Again, we are doing one product and we try to make it well. One of the good points of our solution is to be very flexible. We have a very flexible commercial model where each license is including exactly all the features of the product, meaning that you can reuse the same license for different applications. Typically, a lot of our customers are using our license for temporary use, typically for production, and then they can reuse this pool of license for other operations, typically for playout. Now, I'd like to address, so it was a very short overview of the tax solution, of course. We'll go deeper with Nir a bit later. Now I'd like to address some of the challenges you may be facing today. Typically, as a broadcaster, when you produce some content, you have your signal is going through multiple media processing and different direction. Different direction means that the same signal will go to OTTs and at the same time maybe also to DVB satellite or terrestrial frequencies. And the multiplication of the output may create some confusion. That means that when a problem occurs, your problem will be to quickly define where and why it happened. And that's what is the kind of solution we try to provide, to help you to define rather quickly where the problem occurred and what are the kind of viewers that are affected. Okay? So, in other words, and that's another representation of the issue you may be facing today. The question will be for you to go quickly on the root causes of the issue your viewers or you're observing. I will go quickly on that one. Another issue you may have to face as a broadcaster is the pace of change. In other words, today you are SDI, tomorrow you will be most probably IP in two ways. It might be IP with 2110 input, it might be IP with SRT input, with the various signal to be processed and then to be media processed. And the solution we try to provide today is to help you to evolve with this different environment. We have several customers who have started with us many years ago because they needed to monitor transport stream, MPEG-2, then MPEG-4, then HEVC, and so on. And now they have also to go up into the production chain, and they are using the same monitoring solution to monitor also all the native, IP native content they are producing. And it happens also that you have to handle more and more metadata, name Dolby, name SCT35, name HDR, and this is content you may not have the control on. I mean, it might be, of course, a marketing decision, but it may be also because you're fed, you're filled with some content, you're not always, that is changing all the time. This is a view here of the end-to-end solution we are addressing. from the production on the left side to the distribution on the right side. And this is really a representation of the media processing of the video from the glass on the left side, from glass to glass. So left side, you have all the production studio and other remote production facilities. And the right side, you have the screen of your subscribers or viewers, okay? And Tag is providing a solution for each subsystem, production, playout, or distribution. And we'll try to address during the use case some application of production, processing, or delivery. And we can go, of course, go in detail on each of them. Okay, now some ideas how to save resource in monitoring. Monitoring can pump a lot of resource when you need to monitor every frame of every content you have to monitor. And what we try to provide at Tag, it's a solution that will provide you an end-to-end view of this monitoring, but also will help to optimize the resource consumption. And in our world, as we have licenses, resource consumption is coming from computers, from servers on which are running our licenses. And this is going together with a way to reduce what we call the ice on glass, because the time where you had, remember these big video walls where you had people watching on a video and you even don't know what they were able to see or not see, what to hear, is over. What we try to make sure is that the people now are watching. They just don't waste time on watching what is working. They need to watch only what is not working, and that's the kind of service we are trying to provide today. So this is going through what we call a penalty box. So what is a penalty box? Maybe we even have an illustration. Yes, a penalty box is when you have a problem happening. Here, this is the red square. Then it's going to open a penalty box. So in this screen, you can see that it's very easy to monitor maybe 100 channels in a small portion of the video. And when a problem occurs, then at this moment, you can spend some time on the screen and try to understand what's going on. That's a visual view. Again, we are providing a visual monitoring. When a problem occurs, you see it. And it goes, it's more effective than when you have a technical monitoring where your NOC may see a kind of red light, something is not working without knowing really what's going on. And the added value of our solution is really to provide a view of what is not working with a nice, giving immediately an idea of what's not working. On the left side of the screen, you can see also that we can export some KPI information. KPI information means that it's going to tell you over the time what has been working, what has not been working, and what was the overall efficiency of your broadcasting. I just spoke a few minutes ago about optimizing the resources. This is the purpose of adaptive monitoring. A lot of our customers, they have huge lineup of channels. Some of this lineup are what we call premium channel, and probably on all the channels you have few premium channels, and this premium channel needs a lot of attention. So we provide a solution to monitor at full speed and at full with all the possible resources this premium channel, and to optimize the resources used by a non-premium channel. So typically, we have a tier 2, tier 3 channel where maybe you don't need to monitor every frame, every action of those videos. Maybe you just need to monitor half of the frame only, and that's exactly what is deployed by some of our customers. This is saving a lot of computer resources. This is another very interesting application. This is called content matching. So the idea of content matching is to have a mathematic analysis of of the video content over its processing. So on the left side of the screen, you can see that you have a reference point. And the idea is to know, do I broadcast this reference video, which is typically what's getting out of my playout? And do I transmit properly this original content over all across the media processing? So media processing being typically can be we compare the output of a playout with the different processing after encoding, after scrambling, after whatever operation you may do. And it helps to know two or three kind of things. First, did I broadcasting the proper content to the proper location? And when you have a CDN, the various CDN, it might be interesting to know that you have the proper channel on the proper output. Second kind of information is, how is looking my content? Is it the same content? Is there loss of information on this content? Loss of information include, have I lost audio? Have I lost subtitles? Have I lost video quality? And the last important information you may grab from this is, what is the latency of the broadcasting of this content? How long did it take to reach my end user, the viewer? So that's called content matching. This is used by quite a lot of, typically this is pay TV operator who have from a single input several outputs, and they are using this heavily just to know that the proper content is at the proper destination. Yeah, so we can name some big guys really are using this. This screen is to illustrate a new feature we introduced at IBC this year, which is a QC. QC is a tab fully configurable by the operator, providing a lot of tools to analyze the video. So it's typically a waveform, but it's also a technical analysis, telling you what is the codec, what are all the data embedded into within your video. Okay, it provides to the customer a first and a very quite accurate information to know what's going on onto a video, given video. Maybe some success story now. It's going to be. So I start with the first one. Example of implementation. M7. M7 is a branch of Canal+ Group, and M7 is located in Luxembourg. And Luxembourg, you have to know 2 or 3 things about Luxembourg. This is super small and super expensive country. In other words, when you are a broadcaster based in Luxembourg, it costs a lot. Real estate costs a fortune, really a fortune, and manpower costs a fortune. And despite this, M7 is operating, I think it's something like 1,500 channel from Luxembourg. And they are monitoring 1,500 channels from Luxembourg, thanks to TAG. And this is what you see here on the screen. They have just black screen in front of them. And when the screen is becoming with some videos, that means they have some problems. So that it helps them to minimize the number of people operating the monitoring. So you have a single guy, overpaid compared to the standard of the world, monitoring, and when there is a problem, the screen is becoming active. And the other interest of M7, I think, is that they combined the usage of TAG with miner. So that's the second screen you see on the bottom here. It's each channel gets probes from BridgeTech and probes from TAG. And each line is a channel. So that means they can combine into a single screen probes coming from other sources than TAG. Okay? And I think this is a good, what I wanted to say here is that TAG is the whole solution, but if you have other solution in place, we can work with them. We can provide a solution. There is ways to reuse what you have. Okay? So we talk about a customer with 1,500 channels based in an expensive country. We have also another customer based in Luxembourg, with much slower, much smaller lineup of channel, which use also again TAG to monitor in in a cost-effective way its video services. Again, Poste in Luxembourg, this is a telecom operator in Luxembourg. The base of subscribers is not so big, so they needed to do it in a cost-effective way, really. And this is exactly what they have done by providing just the monitoring of the output of the encoder. Maybe I'd like to give the hand now to Neil.
Buongiorno, grazie per essere venuti. Come ha detto Benoît, mi chiamo Nir, l'ultimo acquisito di Tag in Italia, questo è il tutto mio italiano. So, I'll continue where Benoît... è migliore lentamente. So I'll continue where Benoît dropped off with a couple more use cases. So the zone, I guess everybody knows the zone. They got a lot of rights for football and a lot of operations they need to run. Tag was, so short lead time, meaning all the implementation happened very fast. There's a lot of automation, thousands of sources. And obviously, it's all very high-level content, so the room for error is basically zero. So they're using, the solution was to unify the whole solution using the flexible mosaics. Every part of the chain had their own unique mosaics, which were also segregated using our user management. So the moment you have multiple departments working on the same interface, you would want to separate them. You would want to make sure that each department is controlling only what it's supposed to be controlling in different physical location or just in different studios within the same facility. They're also monitoring different source types and also the output, so they're receiving RTP and HLSs, and they also generate our mosaic in multiple formats, as Benoît mentioned. It's both, it's a hybrid solution, as Benoît said also. The entire Tag solution can be installed on a physical server, up in the cloud, on a VM, or any combination of the two. We have a lot of that, a lot of hybrid solutions like this, where some are on-prem, some are on the cloud. And they're using a lot of the QC station that we've seen just a moment ago, which is one of our newest features. I will go into it a little bit later. And I don't know why they put my picture here, but Foxtel in Australia. So what we talked about so far was mostly the issues of, let's say, of scale and how to save resources and how to be able to operate more, how to control more content with less resources. In the Foxtel case study, it's that, plus what we call the future-proofing of the Tag solution, okay? We help them transition from the SDI infrastructure to all IP environment. So at the end, they're one of the clients that are actually using a full end-to-end solution, from the production to the playout to the delivery. And again, using all these features that we've seen before to optimize the content, to make sure that the users see only what they want to see. And at the end of the day, they get the end-to-end visibility, which is basically the holy grail of what we're doing, right? We want to be able to know as fast as possible whenever there's a problem in any part of the chain. Okay, so the features we saw so far, those 4 features that Benoît mentioned, these are, let's say, the highlights of what we want to show here, but there's quite a lot of other stuff that I'm sure you will find very interesting. I'm going to go back quickly to the presentation that Benoît did earlier. But this is actually, it's a very nice thing. I recommend everybody doing something like that. It's a dynamic presentation. So if I want to focus on a specific area where Tag operates, like the production, playout, or distribution, I can simply click on it. I can have here a representation of all of the signal flow itself with the processing, the modifications, and the insertions. And I have here these Tag logos, which indicate basically every place in the chain where I can place a Tag probe and then get notifications about problems with the SCSI, problems with the closed captions, and so forth. Okay, so we have this nice flow here, all the different workflows that we can cover. And again, just to nail the point home, we support basically any video over IP format on the market right now, both for as a source to ingest and probe it, and also we can generate our outputs in all of these formats. Okay, so that allows remote workflows and sharing content between different silos. I want to highlight a couple of more important features here. First of all, the tag bridge. This is a very nice feature that, again, allows us to bring together multiple silos. It basically came to solve a situation. So we have our processing, you know what, I can enlarge it. We have processing servers over here, okay? So the situation is that I have a mosaic generated by this engine, but I want to display it, a source, I want to display the same source on another engine, okay? So what we used to do so far was to send, basically we read the multicast twice, but obviously this is not a very efficient solution. So what we do now is we create an internal bridge network between the different engines. Okay, so it's using our own proprietary compression, which is very, very fast and visually lossless. And then it transmits it through the bridge network. I mean, the bridge network can be a dedicated network, or it can be an existing media network over Ethernet or fiber. In case one of the engines that participate in this is on the cloud, or both of them are on the cloud, we automatically wrap the bridge channel in SRT. Okay, so this is for situation when you have engines up in the cloud in different places of the world. It's super easy to share content between them. It's completely seamless for the user. He just grabs the source, put it on its mosaic. If the system recognizes that the source is not generated by the same engine, it will automatically create the bridge. Okay, so for the users, it's completely transparent. Everybody's using it heavily, both in live production, if you want to save resources when it comes to the bandwidth, for example. The bridge channel, it's like 50 meg. Okay, so you can take a 3G signal or a 12G signal, and we will compress it to 50 meg, and then you'll be able to share it across the entire operation.
Yeah, another application is when you have a for distribution, is when you have different locations for monitoring. Typically, you may have during the day a place for monitoring, and during the night you need another location. And that's using the bridge technology. You can shift like this over the time.
When it comes to the thresholds and notifications, we currently have over 500 different probes. Okay, so it's basically 500 different parameters, which every source gets scanned for. We compare what we find when we analyze the source. We compare to what is present in the profile of the source, what is defined that it should be. And if there's a problem, we obviously raise an error in many different ways. We can present the error on the screen. We can push it as an API command or as an MP trap. So there are many ways of how to detect the issues and also how to notify the users whenever one of these issues happen. A super useful feature that's been with us a very long time is the smart recording, or what we call recording by exception. So we saw before the penalty box, which is basically monitoring by exception, right? You only see the sources that have a problem. The smart recording is recording by exception, meaning whenever an error occurs, and I can configure which error will trigger this, then basically every stream that comes into the system is going through a small buffer. And that allows us to say, if the moment a black frame error has happened, I want the system to take 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after the moment the error has happened. And then we push that as a new transport stream file, as you can see here, to an Amazon S3 bucket or an external FTP. It gets pushed there along with the XML that describes what was the problem. Okay, so think about it like engineering or the operations can actually go to a central location where they can visually see the moment that the error has happened, what has happened. They can look at the XML. They can start digging in our source status window in order to understand what happened. Okay, so this is the smart recording. And as you can see, when you start putting all of the things we discussed so far together, you know what, maybe I want to go back one more time about what Benoit said, just to make sure that all of this is clear, because this goes very well together when we talk about the penalty box and the adaptive monitoring and the recording by exception. So I just want to highlight that, to talk again here to make sure it's all clear. We have the different monitoring levels. Full is the default one, and it means, as you can see here, that the video is fully decoded, and we parse and we decode and we probe every frame. Then we have the light and extra light mode, and this is designed to reduce the CPU consumption of the sources. And how we do that? We do that by, in the light mode, we actually decode and probe only once every 3 seconds instead of probing all the time like we do in the full mode, and once every 5 seconds in the extra light mode. Okay, you can also see the CPU consumption of that same source in the 3 monitoring levels. Okay, so the most, I'd say the most useful use case for this, and again, I don't think we have a customer in the OTT and the delivery that is not using this feature. Normally, they put the highest quality variant of the HLS or the dash in the full, and all the rest of the variants in the adaptive monitoring. Okay, so they're still being probed. It's possible that you will miss some momentary errors, but normally it doesn't miss much. So you still have like a 90% certainty that all the variants are also okay, but you're also only spending 1/5 on the capacity of them. So basically you can increase the capacity of the servers and monitor more sources with the same capacity. And just one last thing to connect it to the penalty box. Even when a source is in light monitoring or extra light, meaning that it's not fully decoded, we can still present it on the penalty box when we need to. Okay, so if the penalty box says, okay, there's an error in this light monitored source and I need to put it in the penalty box, we will automatically change the monitoring mode in the background to full. We start decoding it all the time, and then we present it on the penalty box. Once the error is gone, it goes out of the penalty box, it goes back to being monitored in the background. Okay, so again, bringing all these together, adaptive monitoring combined with penalty box, combined with automatic recording, we are starting to see the kind of power that you can have in a system like Tag to bring everything together and reduce the resources. User management we mentioned. I want to go now quickly to the GUI. I should have a system here, yes. I have a system here on the cloud. This is on an AWS cloud. I have my SRT here. So this is the live output coming out of the cloud. I also, just because it's fun, I also downloaded the Larix player, which allows to play SRT. So you can also have the same mosaic on the phone or any mobile devices. Like we said, the options of the multiple encoding of the outputs allows us to send out the mosaic as HLS, as SRT, whatever you want, so you can distribute it across different physical locations. Okay, some things about the GUI. So with some more, let's say, a bit more operational stuff. So what you see here is the control panel. It's called the operator console. As you can see, it's embedded inside the GUI. It's just another tab that we have inside the orchestrator tool. What I can do from here, I can control the outputs very easily. Just click on the output. I can change the layouts if I want. And one of the cool things that I can do, first of all, I can choose which source, obviously, I want to assign here. I can choose which audio feed do I want to listen to. So if there's multiple ones, I can select which one I want to monitor through this mosaic output. We recently embedded also the option of isolating a 5.1 channel, so you can only listen to the center or to the LFE channel. And we have the option here of automatically taking a source to a full screen if we want to monitor it. So let's say I had a problem in this source over here and I want to take it into the QC station. Okay, so here we go. A couple of more things also now that we reached the QC station, a couple of more things that we see here. So as Benoit said, this is fully configurable. This is basically just a tile that we configure inside the system. And each one of those boxes that you see here is basically an object within the tile that I can resize, I can move it around. And there's quite a few more options and quite a few more of these information boxes that I can add. The new thing we're showing here on the left side is illustrating the fact that now Tag supports full HDR workflows from the input and the output, meaning we can detect the type of HDR and the metadata on the input. We can alarm if it's wrong. And then we can also generate the output in HDR, PQ, or HLG. The internal pipeline is full 10-bit, meaning if you have HDR on the input and HDR on the output, it's a complete pass-through. There's no degradation on the quality or more processing being done. One more thing. That I want to change here. Of course, the demo effect will kick in now. I want to put here this test signal that you see. This is something brand new. and very exciting. What this does, so now, as you can see, I have multiple outputs here, right? So you see that one of my output is a test signal. So I basically took this output and looped it back into my QC station. So you see the scopes automatically detect that this is a HLG stream. It's adjusting the views to represent that. And what we're doing here, this is basically a new concept that we have to allow for automatic color correction, okay? It's still not here. It will be developed very soon, but all the groundwork for this feature is already here. So we have the scope. We can monitor all the vector scopes and the colors. But what is unique here, you see on the top left here, every signal, every test signal that we generate has its own unique QR code, okay? And that way we know exactly what is the resolution, what is the bit rate, what type of color format we're using. So that when we scan it back into the system, when we put it over here, it will display over here the delta between them, okay? Like how, because we know how the colors came out, we know how they came back, so we can tell you what is the delta between them and what kind of adjustments you need to do. Okay, so this came actually from from customers' requests that were, let's say, a bit disappointed by the color processing knowledge of many of their users, so they were looking for an automated way of doing it. And as much of our development, it comes from a customer request. Okay, most of the cool features that you're seeing here is mostly things that customer requested, and we saw them as a good idea, and we developed them. And as Benoit also mentioned earlier, when it comes to all these different features, everything is using the same currency. We have the zero friction license. The zero friction license can be used to monitor sources, and it can also be used for this kind of a QC station, for example. And don't forget, I mean, if we're comparing this to, I won't say names, but let's say other hardware-based analyzers, just think of the benefits that you get here. First of all, the cost is close to nothing. It's 5 licenses, basically, to activate this. So again, the same currency. So it's very cheap. You can have it in the cloud. You can have the same, now basically what I'm doing, I'm playing it in the cloud, into a cloud system, and presented it in this QC station. It's not tied to a one in, one out hardware device. Second, I can open as many of these as I want. I can have a quad view with 4 QC stations. I can have a bigger screen with 9 of them, or whatever I want. So think of the flexibility that you're getting in this kind of feature compared to hardware solutions, which are, let's say, limited and extremely expensive. Okay, so you're getting almost all of the benefits of using such an analyzer, but much cheaper, much more flexible. Okay, so we've seen the operator console, very convenient to use. I have the thumbnail preview here as well that I can use in order to control what I'm seeing. Okay, quickly about some other stuff here. As we said, I have my source configuration. So in this system, I have TSs, I have HLSs, I have SRT. All the different sources can be mixed in a single system, like we said. A bit about the visualization. So this would be the tile editor. Like we said, each one of those info boxes is completely floating. I can decide where I want to move them. If I click on one of them and I go here to the variant, then I see that there's quite a lot of different information that I can display here. Okay, so highly customizable, both the tiles themselves and also the way we build our templates. As you can see, everything is graphical, everything is very friendly. It reacts in real time. If I make a change to the template or to the assignments, everything will update in real time on the output. Okay, so there's no need to reset anything. Everything takes action in real time. Now, what time is it? Oh, okay. Sorry? Yeah, okay. Because actually I'm not going to use that much more time. Okay. Okay, we talked about the penalty box. I just want to show you very quickly how easy it is to build a penalty box. Okay, so we said the penalty box is basically allowing me to take specific sources and put them on a defined mosaic. Okay, I want to create a new penalty box. I want to say I can choose which severity we go there. So I want only when there's a critical error. Okay, we can sort all of our probes and our alarms based on the severity. So only if it's a critical error. If one of those sources have a problem, then send it to these specific tiles within this specific layout. Okay, so I can either dedicate an entire layout to be used as the penalty box, or I can define just a few of them. Okay. So now I will put I will just change here. I will take the default. Okay. Okay, so this is my default layout, and now you see these are static tiles, meaning I assigned them manually over here. But I want to make the bottom half of this layout to make it into a penalty box. So I just take the bottom tiles over here, let's say from here until here, and I drag them into the destination. I click Save, and here you see all of these. This is now a penalty box. These sources are here automatically. If there are more channels in error than available penalty box tiles, then they will do a round robin. So this is just one example, but when it comes to the configuration of the system and the friendliness, we have a lot of features and a lot of design going into the GUI to make it really as simple as possible. We mentioned the user management, which is essential for managing multiple departments or multiple flows from the same system. Okay, and a bit about, just quickly about the different monitoring modes. So we have a new source status window. So from here you can monitor all the sources, see if they have any active events, what is the highest priority of the error that they have, the bit rate. And I can also have some historical data here saved up to, of course, the demo effect kicks in again. I'm supposed to see here the graphs. I'm not seeing it. Oh, okay. Because the data is gone a bit. Okay. So here I can simply double click on a source, see the bitrate graphs, the PCR jitters, the amount of movement, blocking, audio level, audio peak, and also the list of events. Okay, so again, many different ways of how to monitor the content. Either look at the alarms over here, look at the alarms on the mosaic, look at the operator, look at the QC station, look at the raw data stream that is coming out. So there's a lot of ways of how to customize the solution, how to make sure that it fits into any workflow that you need it to. And maybe the last point regarding integrations. So all the GUI, everything that you see here on the GUI is operated through API. And also the communication between the orchestrator that we're seeing here and the media engines that are actually doing the decoding and the encoding, all of this communication is also done through API. Okay, there's no proprietary control protocol or something. It's all API based. And this is why it's very easy for us to integrate with other systems and other components in the chain. Okay, the API is completely open. It's not licensed. Obviously, password protected, but it's not licensed. You don't need to pay any extra for it. And I think it's safe to say that about at least 50% of our customers use some kind of an API integration with Tag, either one that they got from another vendor like Nevion, or stuff that they developed in-house, because again, it's just very easy and very efficient way to integrate everything into a single solution. And that's it, right?
They are using a third party. We can say that a lot of our customers are using some kind of broadcast controller to control our monitoring solution.
So it can be, as mentioned by Nir, it can be Nevion, it can be Cerebrum, it can be whatever brand you like. But most of them we are really operating behind those systems.
Yeah, that's actually true. In all sorts of situations, actually, the API integration level is that high that sometimes the users don't even know that they're using Tag. They have some other control interface. Tag is doing everything in the background using the API. And this is, it was mentioned earlier, but just another representation of the integration that we have with Harmonic lately. So like we said, whatever comes into the VOS, they want to be able to monitor it in very low latency before it goes out to the distribution path. So they have this WebRTC here in extremely low latency. The API part basically comes from Tag querying the VOS to let it know which flows are now available through the WebRTC. We create them as sources in Tag, and then you can basically enable the source and watch whichever WebRTC source you want to watch directly from the VOS. The only difference here from the previous presentation is just another option to illustrate what you can do with Tag, and that's, as you can see, is the content matching that we have here at the bottom. Okay, so we monitor the contribution feed. We make sure it's the same frame as the one that is going out to the distribution, to the OTT or the DTH. Actually, one last feature that I forgot. Always forget something. Yeah, last but not least, the SSIM. The SSIM is a technology, is a standard, industry standard, the structural similarity index measurement. And it's basically designed to measure the degradation in the quality of the video signal over the chain. Okay? It's not something that TAG developed, it's an industry standard that we embedded into the solution. It has a couple of unique features. First of all, it's considered, there's also PSNR and other standards that can do that, but SSIM is considered to be the one that is best adjusted for the human perception of what actually makes the human eye perceive the degradation in the quality, if it's the colors or if it's the compression. So unlike other algorithms that are a bit more technical. So this gives us a final, basically just one measurement in a number which describes the degradation in the quality. So we implemented this as kind of an add-on on top of content matching. The moment the content matching realizes that this is actually the same frame, right? Because the content matching main job is to make sure that the video frame matches. So once the content matching realizes that there is a match, then the SSIM algorithm kicks in and you can display the result over here. And also, as always, all of this raw data that we're generating about the SSIM score, about the match, no match, the latency, everything can be pushed outside as raw data and be visualized. And of course, this also came from a customer request. They had an SLA with the customer. They had to commit that the SSIM score will not go below 0.95. We developed it for them, and now they're using it basically, again, using the data to keep reports of the past month. They can generate reports and show their customers that the quality actually always stayed above the 0.95. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Maybe a short one. This presentation is available from our website. Huh? Good to say. Where is it?
This.
That one.
Good memo. This is the offline version, but this same presentation, the dynamic one with all the features and all of this, is also available in the website. If you go to tagvs.com, you can play with it. You can look at all the monitoring points and all the different mosaics that we can build and give you some ideas of how you can use the system. Grazie.
Grazie. Ok, grazie a tutti. Adesso vi chiedo solo 5 minuti e arriveremo con qualcosina da mangiare. Grazie di essere venuti, grazie mille, veramente. Thank you, Tag and Harmonic. Thank you for your presentation. I'm sure that we will have some idea for you. Qualsiasi informazione o domanda, siamo qua, ci conoscete, quindi grazie mille, veramente. Grazie.